This game has really turned out to be what all the sports writers, etc., expected tonight, a real barn burner. We're fortunate to have with us the virtual backbone of the O'Toole squad, Kevin Ledrew. Kevin, how's the action out there tonight?
Thanks, Dave. Well, as you can see, it's been a tough, hard-hitting battle the whole series, the whole year for that matter. And well, we're up by 1 goal after 2 periods, and heading into the third with that 1-goal lead. We're going to have to continue to fight hard to keep it.
Good. Is that 1-goal lead going to sustain you? Are you going to need that insurance marker to get through this contest?
Well, the Waterbed Club is a tough group, and we're not going to be able to pull a plug with just that one marker. I'm going to have to say no. We're going to need something else besides the tough hitting in the corners, that sort of thing. The club's going to have to come up big for another 30 minutes.
Good. As most of your viewers out there know, Brune Zarell isn't in the lineup tonight. You probably saw him in the first intermission interview, and that situation has probably caused a few problems on the bench. Has the absence of Brune really been a factor out there tonight?
You can't lose a fellow with the character and stamina of Brune Zarell, of course, as you know. Can I call you Shecky? I know they do down at that St. Charles club, Shecky. Last year's Stats Lukowski winner, a tough man to lose. He's so important and big for us in front of the net. It really requires the rest of the club to come up big, like we obviously have tonight. So in answer to your question, no, we don't really miss him at all.
The big ragu is obviously not a factor. Now, the other people on your squad, okay, I know you know them all personally. You've hand-picked them along with Coach Lane. You brought them along in this league. You're going for your 2nd championship in the World Hockey League. A fellow like Gio Beck. Now, there's a guy who has a very funny first name. There's no doubt about it. But someone who, again, hasn't seen very much ice time tonight.
Well, actually, Gio Shecky is short for gorgeous, and of course we couldn't fit that on a sweater with Beck. But in the back of my mind, I feel that he's a solid performer. He's taken a back seat for a part of the series, like we all have. I'm not seeing the action I'd like to see. Of course, my knees, my back, Valium's not doing what it used to. We've all taken the necessary steps to ensure a victory here tonight. Coach Lane has ensured that. We know where we're headed. We won last year. We want to win again tonight. We're ahead by 1, as I said, after 2 periods. And he's a big force. He's a big guy, and he's going to come in when we need him.
That's good. He's also a lot of spirit in there.
Huge. I can't even tell you how big of a spirit he is. The man's got a forehead, a heart as big as all outdoors, and that's the kind of thing we need on this club.
Good, good. Some of the other people on the club, Johnny Lane, for example.
Well, the speedster, the young Lane, of course, brother to Coach Bob. No question, drugs have not affected his performance. He's a speedster, and sometimes a little, I don't know, hard to get along with, but I'm close with Johnny. I've grown up through the minor ranks, and of course now in the big leagues, and super guy. Super.
Yeah, I know the West German skiers shave most of their hair off their bodies. Is that's for speed, of course, in the swimming pool. Is that the reason why we don't see a lot of hair on the body of John Lane?
Well, Shecky, I'm not really sure the medical reasons for that loss of, I wouldn't even call it a loss, absence perhaps of hair. An excellent team member, and of course he lends me a shampoo, so I really couldn't respond to that question.
Well, that must save you a lot of money through the season. Another fellow on the team is Doug Wright. Often in the penalty box, a feisty little fellow. Kind of has his own little idiosyncrasies in the dressing room. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, Doug Wright, this year a pleasant surprise. Last year, a strong member of the club. You know, we won last year. You needed that kind of a spirit throughout 16 players. This year, he's been tough, and he's got those shower sandals, and of course, you know, stands out above the rest. I think. Well, of course, they're elevated shower sandals, so naturally he would, but. He's there, you know, he's there.
And I understand as a result of those sandals, that's cleared up a lot of the athletes' foot in the club. That almost put you out of the playoffs last year.
Well, it was a problem. It was a problem, and of course, when Dougie was looking at the big house last year, and we knew, of course, he was going to hook up with the big club down in Joyceville. But fortunately, the team lawyers got him out of that jam. He's back with us, and no medical problems really to speak of. I think, as we can probably touch on later. And I'm sure, as you have throughout the game, the absence of Bruin Zarell and Gordon McRae, we have some slight injuries, and my knees, of course, but basically, we've all got healthy feet.
Oh, good, good, good. The Fighting Irish, Joe Keane. Now, there's a tough competitor.
Shecky, like the tattoo says, the Fighting Irish, and really a hell of a season. And he's been there all along in the playoffs. There have been games where the fellow really has dominated, and been a pleasure for me to skate with that type of an individual.
Good, good. You've got a couple of youngsters on the squad this year. We're looking at your man between the pipes and a young defenseman. Can you tell us a bit about those fellas and where they came from?
Well, Shecky, of course, we've got a good variety this year on the club. We've got some old-time hockey players, some veterans, and as you mentioned very accurately, the rookies this year. Greg Scott on defense, quiet sort of lad, fit in very well with the club this year.
And he's drug-free, from what I understand.
Well, for the most part, he snaps back into that black hash habit. But it hasn't affected his play, and of course, as you know, Coach Lane is really looking for performance and not the flavor of drug you're smoking. You talk about a Mick Reedy in the net. Last year, there was a key management decision made in the final game, which was very crucial to all of us in terms of the starting goaltender. Mick won that job. My praise to the individual, of course, that selected him, but let's take nothing away from young Mick. Outstanding last year and a great big part of our reason for success this year, Shecky.
Well, that's real good. It's real good. You mentioned Gordon McRae. Of course, he's out with an injury tonight. But he's another person who, although sidelined with the bad arm, he's behind the bench and he's rooting these guys up.
Oh, no question. With Coach Lane handling the coaching duties for the most part, and of course his on the ice contribution. Gordy's been able to stand behind there and give us the pat on the back, the pep talks, and of course his hockey knowledge second to none. And one of the few individuals I know with a serious hockey injury that can also play ball at the same time, and hats off to him.
Well, that is surprising. There's very few professionals out there who do excel in both sports. As I look down the roster here, there's a name that comes to me, and I've heard him sing in many a parking lot and actually wherever anyone would listen to him, and that's Rick Prince. And I've heard him sing, but I'm glad to see he's back playing hockey again.
Oh, Shecky, no question. Another newcomer to the club this year, made the big leagues, and a welcome addition, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. At one time, a superior hockey player, a real force out there, and of course he made the decision between sports, hockey, and rock and roll. I guess he's the Tom Jones of hockey. I call him Heifer. He did gain a few pounds and maybe let his life slide a little, but he's picked himself out of that gutter. And seriously, has really played himself back into shape this year. And of course, you see him, he's on a regular shift out there, and one of the reasons we are where we are tonight.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear. Renzetti, you can't say enough about this guy. Last week, he was probably instrumental in allowing the Waterbed team to win. This week, a complete turnaround. Is this guy getting paid off for something, or is he just an outstanding individual who can pick himself up and, not like his ancestors, not like World War II, he doesn't give up?
Well, Shecky, I can't tell you about his family from yesteryear, but I've said it before, gosh, if I could have as many good games as he has bad games, well, I'd be back up on top like I was years ago. He's got a couple goals for us tonight. There was some indecision as to whether he was going to play because of his injury. He's been out for a month and a half now. Got a nice tan. He's been down south trying to pick up the pieces, and I can't say enough about him.
Well, I'll tell you something. You said that if you had as many good games as he has bad, you'd be back on top. Look, we can only look out there, and we're reminded of the Big M. That 27 skates by, and I know up in the gondola, Dick and Phil have to shake their heads and say, is that the Big M? No, it's Kevin Ledrew, same style, same performance, same gusto. The man's out there to win. He's a team player. Don't be so modest. Come on.
Well, Shecky, that's why I picked the big 2-7. I thought there was some resemblance, and of course, I did get the sponsorship, so I seem to have bought myself a spot on the club.
No. There was rumor going around, ladies and gentlemen, there was rumor going around saying that it was Kevin's money, so it's Kevin's team. Now, we want to just put that to rest right now. That's ludicrous. Obviously, you watched the first couple of periods, this man's a performer.
Well, thank you, Shecky. It really wasn't my money, I borrowed it, but nonetheless, sure, I had a hand in putting the club together along with, it's been a team effort. It's been a pleasure for me to hang out with some of these fellas, the ups and downs, the ins, the outs, and, it's really a team effort here.
Well, that's good. As we carry on down, there's Gary Beck, Davey Roberts, who gets limited ice time because he doesn't show. One guy I'd like to pick to talk about right now is Doug Peacock.
Doug Peacock has come up with some big games this year. A veteran, an old-time hockey player, much like myself. I think Dougie and I come from the same schools. A drywall sort of pumper. He's been there, and he's actually provided the club with a lot of that, I don't know what you'd call it, Shecky, the kind of atmosphere you need on a winning club. Oh, this is not like the Islanders of the late 70s or early 80s that, or the Yankees that turmoil in the dugout, the dressing room. It's been a pretty tight unit, and Dougie's fit in very well.
No, that's good, because he did look a little down in our pregame show there in the dressing room.
Well, I do know that Doug has been on penicillin. We're not sure for what, but I think he's, much like myself, trying to shake the effects of some of the medication we've been on, and I think you'll see a top-notch game from Dougie before the night's out.
Yeah, I noticed that because I did, ladies and gentlemen, notice the scabs are healing on Doug's back. Jimmy Roberts, again, Gary Beck, we've mentioned him. Brad Spence. Now, there's a fellow who's an everyday participant of this squad. He's not on the ice, ladies and gentlemen. He's not out there wearing the blades, but this guy is irreplaceable, wouldn't you say?
Sure. What the heck, Shecky? Let's go all out tonight. Yeah, Brad has been a big part of the club. As you mentioned, he's not on the ice. He's behind us. He's backing us up in a management role, making some key decisions. He's a big part of this club, and when we go out and we win like we have all year, last year, he's just one of the fellas. He's in there from the start to the finish, and of course that's what makes a winner.
Yes, and if we do have time later on in the program, we will show you. We videotaped Brad earlier opening the door. Now, he has a real technique for that, don't you think?
Well, let's be honest, he does have it down pat. It's something that we all do, but not quite like Big Brad.
Yeah, and one other thing, too, is the water bottles that you use. Okay, and I've noticed them, and I know you people out there have tried it, too, is that the sink is never deep enough to get the bottle right underneath the tap. And I notice Brad comes out there with full bottles every time.
I don't know how he does it, Shecky. As you can imagine, before evenings like tonight, the room is tense. A lot of excitement. You could cut it with a knife, wood handle. I might add, the electricity is thick.
You wouldn't want to get a shock. Yeah.
We're just so wrapped up in what we're going to try and achieve that we're not really sure of some of the important things that go on behind the scenes. And Brad's in charge of that, and no question, he does it very, very well.
Well, very good. That's pretty well wraps it up with the O'Toole's squad as seen through the eyes of Kevin LeDrew. We're going to let Kevin get back to the dressing room now, and we'll be back with the third period right after this.
Purity you can see, quality you can taste.
Performance by all the members on this club, no question. Of course, we haven't mentioned, we have talked about Barun Zorel, last year's Kostelkowski winner. Of course, another big member of this club, Gordon McRae, out with a shoulder injury. We know he can still play baseball, but...
that's one of the most incredible things. There's very few people who can play two sports. And Gordon McRae is one.
Well, we know he can play one sport. Whether he can play both at the same time, of course, is a question when his doctor can answer. We don't see any evidence here in this series.
guy, you can see that they're really taking the puck to these dead people. Oh. Little roughhouse going on over the corner there.
Tempers flaring up.
I can imagine they're frustrated.
I have to agree.